So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you today for another tip, another idea, something that's going to be able to help you make changes in your life to lose all that weight that you're after and to keep it off forever. Now, today's podcast was prompted by something that I saw this morning. Now, I was flicking through, watching a couple of videos on Facebook or YouTube or something like that. And as I was doing that, I came across a David Goggins video. And I watched just like a short, so I watched it for about 30 seconds. And then as, you know, the algorithms are very clever. And so if you watch one thing, then they give you another one, another one, another one. So they end up watching 3 or 4 of them, of this guy, David Goggins. Now, I'd seen him around a little bit before, but I looked him up and found out a bit more about him. And a lot of people refer to this guy as the world's toughest guy. He was the Navy SEAL that's done way more training than everybody else and completed all these amazing feats. And he's an ultra marathon runner and ultra cyclist, and one time run 39 hours nonstop. And so I'd heard about this guy before. So he's just tough, like seriously mentally tough. So I wanted to hear what he had to say. Now, I must say I struggled a little bit because I didn't like the swearing. So he swears way too much for me. So little short clips was about all I could do. But some things that he said was fascinating, brutal, but fascinating. And it made me go away and think about my actions every single day and how I can be better. So today I thought I'd share something that I got out of that and tell a story or two that is helpful, I think, to put it in perspective for the mindset that we need to win. Not only at weight loss, but in life, frankly. But obviously my focus is always about weight loss. But we've got to get our minds tough. And David Goggins speaks a lot about, and a lot of it's while he's running, right? So he's talking to the camera while he's just running. He's talking about how soft we have become as a society. Now, I'm not sure that I want to be just a hard man. That's not sort of what I'm about, but I love his hard mindset, that it is all about, I have control of everything that I do. He's not letting other things get in the way of what he wants to achieve. And I love his just dog-jaw determination. So some of the things he said were really fascinating. One of those was, we don't need motivation. Like he spoke about how motivation was overrated. And sometimes we feel like, I'm lacking motivation. I need the motivation to get it to go and do something. The fact of the matter is he's like basically got to shut up, stop sooking about it, and just do it. He's like, when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, you don't want to go for a run. You don't want to go for a walk. You don't want to go and train because it's going to suck. Do it anyway. That was his whole mentality. Stop whining about it. Just get up and do it while it hurts, because that's the only way you're going to achieve sort of what you want to achieve in your life. And he backed it up by telling a story, right? And I love the attitude. That's just me. But he backed it up by telling this story when he was in, when he was in the army, Navy SEAL, whatever he was. He said we would go on these long runs. And as we're running, we've finished, we've been running for a long time, and we see that the finish line is not too far ahead, but you've got instructors that are taking us on these runs. And he told the story about how people would start to get happy and a little bit chirpy on the run as they started to get closer to the end. And the instructors saw this and they went, well, we're not going to stop. And he said they would run straight through. They'd run straight through. And he said all the heads dropped. And people were like, I just wanted it to finish. His mindset was so different, and I just loved it, right? Because he said, that's where I started taking souls. He sounds like a tough guy, but I guess he is a tough guy. But that was when I started passing everyone, because these guys are broken now. He said, where I wanted the instructors to not stop. I wanted them to keep going. I want them to run through cold water. I want it to rain. Where all these other people, they didn't want it to rain. They don't want the instructors to keep going. They want them to stop because they want to relax. They want to get comfortable. And his whole attitude was, I want the hard. I want to do it. I want to do all the pain. I want to do all the hard. So maybe you could say he's a bit crazy, but I think it's crazy in a good way, that he's so determined that he will win and he will do the hard no matter what. And so it made me think of the concept of how we don't need motivation necessarily, but we need to be tougher. We need to be tougher in our situations. And I spoke just on, I think it might have been yesterday's podcast, where we make up lots of excuses for why we can do things or we can't do things. And then we actually think those excuses matter for our ability to lose weight. We think, well, because I was sick or because I was this or because none of it really matters. If we don't do the work, we don't get the result. Simple as that. But we like to think that our emotions are actually important in that situation, and he strips it right back. He's way more harsh than me, and he's like, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It only matters the action and what you do. And so I liked his attitude to that. Now, a little closer to home, I want to tell a quick story about my wife, Davina. So I like to think I'm a little bit mentally tough. My wife, Davina, is on a whole nother level of mentally tough. She would hate me even saying this, though, by the way. But I remember a number of years ago, Davina was very, very sick. She got Lyme disease and couldn't speak properly and had shaking and slurring and seizures, and it was a horrible experience. But she's still got some effects of that sort of as we go. And back in a few years ago, she was training, and we were training just in the lounge room. It was just middle of the day, training in the lounge room together. And she was on the rowing machine, and she was training, and she would have these moments where she'd have a seizure. And they look different from time to time, but this time she lost the full use of her right side and her whole face would droop. It's very embarrassing for her, but her face would droop and her arm would drop and she couldn't function anymore, right? And so she just started to cry and she couldn't speak properly either. She would start to slur her words, and I just give her a hug, and it's quite an emotional experience. At that point, she was extremely sick. And so we probably had to cry together, and I said, you're okay, you're going to be all right, trying to encourage her. And after a minute or two, she starts rowing again. Now, my concern was she was going to fall off because she literally could not use her right side properly at all. So she started rowing sort of one-armed, it wasn't even working properly. And she said this comment that's a bit Dave Goggins-like, I guess. Not all of us are running ultra marathons like he is, but everyone's in their own journey, right? But you can be mentally tough in your journey. And Davina turned to me and I said, babe, you don't need to do anymore. Like, that's enough. That's me. My heart was breaking watching her do this. And I said, you don't need to do anymore. And she goes, no, this doesn't get to determine what I do. And she kept rowing, and she finished her row. And she had, hundreds of meters left or whatever it was, but she went and finished her row. It was slow and it was awkward and she couldn't move one side of her body. But she's like, this disease doesn't dictate to me what I do. And I left that and I went, wow, that's cool. That's super tough. And I loved her more and was more proud of her. And I was like, you're the best, right? So how can we find that level of grit, that level of determination, that level of, there's no way I'm going to not do something that I need to do to get to where I want to be. We give in so easy because life is so easy now. Life is so comfortable, right? So the physical aspects of our lives are a million times more comfortable than what they were 150 years ago. We're driving in cars with air conditioning, and you even get air conditioning on the seats. It cools your bum. Everything about our lives now is set up to make life more comfortable and easy. But it's kind of made us soft. And so when something's hard, we quit easy. Many people quit easy on that journey when it's a little bit hard. So we need to sort of dig in and go, I've got to find that grit. I've got to find that determination so that I can stay this course when it comes to anything in life. But weight loss is obviously what we're talking about. You know what? Weight loss can be hard. So what? Do it anyway. Just keep going. Because without keeping going, you'll never achieve. And everything that is worthwhile in life takes effort to achieve. And it hurts and it's uncomfortable. And you know what? If it hurts and it's uncomfortable and it's hard, that's good. When you're in the gym and you're lifting weights, it hurts. I was in the gym earlier today and I was lifting weights, doing shoulders, and it hurts. And it hurt even a bit more today, if you can see, if you're watching the video. I was doing some shoulder raises and side ones, and as I came back down, I was banging the weight together at the front, and I should never do that because it always ends up banging my finger. But this time it banged my finger hard, where the weights didn't match up, and it smashed on my finger and it hurt like hell. And so anyway, I cut it open. It was not comfortable at all. And I thought, I can be a sook and I can walk away and not do it, or I can be a little tough. And I just watched Dave Goggins this morning. I went, nah, I'll tape that thing up and I'm straight back in there, and I can't even hold it properly, but I'm going to I was still going to do it anyway. It's totally fine. Because I went, well, if he can do it, he's just a bloke. Why can't I as well? And I need to find my grit. I need to find my determination, and I need to find my toughness so that motivation ceases to become a need. I don't need an external. I want to be at a place where I don't need an external motivator. We all need to be at a place where we don't need that external motivator. We need to get in and be tough ourselves and stick at it. When you do that, we can win at everything. And so stick at it. You got this thing. You can lose the weight that you want to lose. And sometimes it's going to be hard. And you got to dig in and stick at the process. You got this. We'll chat soon.